Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Bad Dad from Hodl Hogs. Just want to go over about what occurred today. Nothing's changed in my perspective and outlook on the market yet, right? If anything, it's just reconfirmed and reaffirmed my position of this market being the bottom right now. So, looking at the Dow Jones and the US 500, which is what we started off with the other video that I put out today this morning. We talked about how the US 500 and the Dow Jones was starting to look favorable as it was pushing up in the upside. So if we go down to the hour, we started off pretty well. I mean, we were down here, we gapped back up. We were pushing up for a couple of hours, and then things started to turn sour pretty quick on us, real fast. Um, let's take a look at it on the daily. Over here, let's look at the US 500. US 500 did the exact same thing. Right now, it's somewhat started to wick here at the bottom. It's still pushing up in the after hours and the after hours trading. So now we're looking over here and seeing, okay, let's see what can we find in relation to what I discussed. I talk about RSI quite constantly, right? So at this point, this morning I said, could the RSI fall even further south? And I was like, yes, hell yes, it can. It can go south and it can start busting through. So let's take a look at some confluence about why would it bounce back from here. Well, first off, you have a 200-day EMA ribbon that's right here. And if you look back in the past, I mean, it's never really broken through it other than in this March 2020. So since March 2020, it has not broken through it, right? It's come close to touching it and bouncing up, but it hasn't broken through it since. And two, let's take a look at down here at the RSI. Every time it's hit this bottom end, right, it's bounced. So we talk about how the stock market affects the Bitcoin price and the Bitcoin price affects the rest of the altcoins. Well, you're always going to have to look up one higher, right? So you're going to have to play with your altcoins. If it hits the bottom, okay, that's the bottom. You can kind of make your best probability guess that okay, we're at the bottom if that's how you're playing with the RSI, and that we're bouncing from there. But if Bitcoin decides to take a shit, it doesn't matter how far down your RSI is, it's going to go down some more because Bitcoin's doing it, right? And then if Bitcoin's RSI hits the bottom, or where's Bitcoin, by the way, a piece of crap. That's right there. So if Bitcoin decides to hit its RSI, which it's about to, and then the stock market takes a shit, then it doesn't matter. It's going to go down and test it some more, or even push down further south, right? So if you go back to the stock market and you look at where are we with the RSI, we're pretty much about to hit the bottom end of it. So we hit it once, twice, it's the Dow Jones, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 5 different times for the Dow Jones. I guess it broke through here at one point. But every time it comes down here, it bounces off of it, right? A hard rebounce, a hard, I guess, a upside turn off of it every single time. So if you were to say it would, your chances are, is it going to bounce off this bottom end or not? Well, if I'm looking at probability tells me yes, it's going to bounce from it. And this is just, you know what I mean? Like their fear, it's just fear in the market. People are scared. I mean, yeah, the stock market is overinflated. It definitely is, but nothing's changed, right? You're looking at US 10-year still pushing up, right? So people are dumping off bonds. I mean, the yields going higher. Bonds are getting dumped off. They're still in riskier assets. Dollar is somewhat still lingering around in this range up here. It did take a tumble and it's still back up. There's nothing really off the baseline that's saying, hey, we're crashing. Even the VIX is just nothing notable, just nothing crazy and nothing in the news. I mean, if anyone's wondering, like, what caused the dump, what Russia banned mining, Russia banned crypto, like, how many more times are we going to fall for this, gents? So it just seems like it's more fear mongering, and then that fear mongering translates to people dumping off. And here we are at extreme fear of 19. And we've all been here. We've seen this time and time again. You hang out in these lower ends of the greed and fear chart, down here, and eventually you end up pumping. Let's put up the max. You hang out down here long enough, you start putting back up into the extreme greed, right? Every time hanging out down here, you go back up to extreme greed. So we're about at the same time frame in how long we've been down here as about the time that we were in May, June, July time frame when Bitcoin plummeted to 30,000. So moving back over to the Bitcoin chart, I'm not concerned. Like I said, I'm still standing by my convictions as I mentioned this morning. Did expect a rounded move here, and my lower end of expectations and the point of where I'm going to have to now change my view was, as I stated earlier in all my videos that I've made the past week, was this one right here, 3,700. At 37,800, 37,500 range. If we were to break that and we dipped lower, not just a wick, but we're talking dipping lower, we're closing down lower on the daily, then I would say, okay, this thing is not moving in the direction that I intended to. And at this point, what would I do, right? I'm not selling anything, just not doing it. Yeah, people may say that that's pretty stupid. Well, I'm not selling into a loss, right? I'm not selling when it's going down. The time that I will be selling is on the way up. And now, if Bitcoin was at 10,000, I sold at 12,000, it kept on pushing higher. That's okay because I sold on the way up. That's good trading strategies. You take some profit and you pull out, and you take some more profit as it goes higher and you pull out. You take some more profit as you don't take all of it out at one time. But as it's going down, I'm not going to react to other people's moves. So I'm going to make my decision and make it as I intended to or as I planned, not react to some manipulation or what other people are trying to trick me into, is how I would believe is how it be playing out. Trick me into selling my position just so that they can turn this thing around, because we've seen it one too many times that's occurred. So we're at a very important part right here, where I think this here is the same replay of this, right? I mean, look how close it came down to coming down to wick this bottom wick, and push down beneath it, and we're there, right there, in the same spot. RSI is, coming down to retest the bottom range, and that volume is just not high enough. Just not, it doesn't show it. It's not proven to me like, hey, this is a real dump. So I'm not concerned. I'm gonna, if I get more chance, more fiat, I'm throwing it into this market. Don't care. And like I said, do you want to be holding assets that you are concerned of regulations when they do come out? Like if you take it to zero and regulations come out and hit it, it's going to zero. That's it. It's done. It's over. But if you have an asset that's well worth holding on to and it has regulatory clarity, or it's looking to seek that clarity, or it has a use case, it doesn't violate any SEC laws, then what doesn't matter? It's going to come back. The price always comes back to beat all-time highs. That's how it's always been. The Dow Jones, when 2008 came around, people were jumping out of buildings. And the more people that jumped out of the buildings, the more, I heard people were buying it up because they knew that this was the end. That, as sick as that is, more jumped out. They said they wouldn't jump, but they wouldn't. Next time, I'm not going to buy into the stock market until at least 10 people have jumped out of the buildings. Because once they've jumped out of the buildings, that's the bottom. They've given it up. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So when the more people you hear screaming on the internet about how this is a bloody bear market, that's probably the more likelihood that I'm going to keep buying into it, because eventually this is all coming back. And if it doesn't, and if the stock market just crumbles and goes to shit, then we've got bigger things to worry about. Like, how are we going to eat tomorrow? Is there food going to be like stocked on the shelves in the superstore, in the supermarkets? You know what I mean? Am I going to have to be concerned about getting to work or coming home from work with inflated gas prices? Those are the worries that I'm really going to start having. So until then, I'm just going to treat this as this is just another sale. So yeah, I think for all you that are concerned, I think just as long as you don't have yourself overly invested, and if you do, then you need to think about probably getting a second job, or trying to find a job like Uber or Lyft or whatever it is that you can find on your part-time, because I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be looking at your charts. You're going to be looking at your phone all day, all night, not doing anything productive with yourself. So go and get another job if you're overly invested. Try to recumulate some of your money that you've put into the market, and then live off of that for a little bit if that's what you have to do. But until then, stay calm, be real, and learn from what's going on. And see that maybe we do bounce from here, and see how everyone reacted, and take this emotional experience and put in that back of your head and catalog it so you know what to do next time. Anyways, I'm going on a little long and talking about random shit, so I'll break it off here and hope you all the best. Again, not financial advice. Do your own reading. This is all for entertainment purposes only. And if anything, you guys can at least laugh at me and watch me turn to bacon if I get crushed here. But I'm not going to be squealing like a little pig if it does happen. So, best wishes, guys. Take care.